Welcome to Facets of Healing. Our first chapter begins with what is Complementary Alternative Medicine. The National Center for Complementary and Alternative Medicine defines Complementary Alternative Medicine, or CAM, as a group of diverse medical and healthcare systems, practices, and products that are not presently considered to be medicine. Of course, now, when we take this a little bit further, CAM is also known as unconventional medicine and interventions not taught in medical schools and not available in hospitals. Others claim that there is no such thing as alternative medicine, only evidence-based and unproven. Now, of course, this was in most of those comments were in the early 2000s, because we have plenty of studies that have lent their support to the complementary alternative medicine disciplines. And we will be exploring those as we progress. So just how popular is CAM? Well, nearly 70% of the people between the ages of 50 and 64 have used CAM practices as part of their health care and well-being. In the 90s, when they started tracking this stuff, it was that they had noticed, well, here we go down here, I'm getting ahead of myself here. During the 1990s, 34 to 40% on average of the people visited their complementary alternative therapy practitioners more than they visited their traditional healthcare primary physician. So this is something to keep in mind. People were moving away from traditional medicine, which is contemporary. It's what we are familiar with today, our healthcare systems today. In the 90s, they started moving away. Of course, that's when they started tracking this, and you can probably go even further back. But this was in the 90s, and we can only assume that this has increased as time has moved by, particularly since with the pharmaceuticals raising their prices for their medicines, they have essentially priced themselves out of reach of the common people. When I say common people, I'm referring to those people who are unable to avail themselves of healthcare insurance to properly maintain their health as from a preventative viewpoint. And by that I mean I'm talking about annual visits to our primary physicians, taking annual tests like for high cholesterol, monitoring blood pressure, the things that a contemporary doctor would monitor as a baseline to watch for changes that could lead further down the road to health issues, such as high cholesterol and high blood pressure. These are items that lead further down the road to some serious health problems. So we have to monitor them. And with the costs of doctor visits, it's about alternative therapies, complementary alternative medicine, and how it's growing in population. And as we continue with this series, with each chapter, we go more and more in depth. We explore more of what CAM is actually about. Now, CAM is divided into 4 domains. As you can see, biologically based therapies include vitamins and supplements, energy therapies. Well, let's back up. Biologically based therapies include vitamins and supplements. Many of us take vitamins for whatever reason, whether we believe we don't get our proper amount of whatever vitamin or mineral we're supposed to get through the foods that we consume. The supplements, we will explore some of the supplements later, but the supplements also, they have the same purpose, to increase our intake from what we do not get from the foods that we eat. So some of this suggests poor eating habits. That's not what it's about. It's merely about availing ourselves of what's available. The next domain is energy therapies. Now, these operate through frequencies and magnetism. Now, many of us would call this vibrations. And this includes what we as aspiring healers would be doing, which would be hands-on healing, the distant healing, and then we have the mind-body therapies, which include meditation and hypnotherapy. Primarily, it is meditation, but there are a variety of pathways to meditation. We will explore that later. The last is body manipulation. This category we will not be exploring, mostly because we become dependent on someone else. That and the fact that I personally lack experience in that, and my beliefs are that if I have no experience, then I really should not be delving into that. Now, as far as the vitamins and supplements, I have been prescribed niacin as a means of controlling the high cholesterol. So I've got some experience there with that. The energy therapies, which operate through the frequencies, I do the healing work myself, mind-body therapies. I've been practicing meditation for over 30 years. So these areas I am very familiar with and very interested in exploring even further. Now, let's look at some of the other stuff here. So, CAM practices, we talked a little bit about herbs and supplements. Now, this is also going to include essential oils, which is something that many people have been investigating. We won't be looking at naturopathy, but this particular field focuses on nature. And what I mean by focuses on nature, I'm talking about fresh air, change in scenery, getting plenty of sunlight, these types of things. We will discover the importance of this as we progress, because with the sun, we get more, we gain sustenance from the sun on a level that is very different. We're talking about some of the the ultraviolet rays, some of the other types of radiation that come from the sun through the atmosphere and that. And when I say radiation, I'm not talking about something that is dangerous. Radiation it covers a broad spectrum. Now, the idea of fresh air and cleansing and that, this has been around for a long time. This was developed in China right around, I think, maybe 2600 BC. And they had developed, along with this, a type of faith healing for mental disorders as well. So this stuff has been around for a long time. Homeopathy, that's another one that we will not investigate a whole lot. We will see some areas there that we'll touch on. Homeopathy focuses on developing a resistance within the body. And the way they do this is through minute amounts of subpoisonous substances. I'm not sure what the thought is behind this, what the purpose is. This is not an area that I have ventured into. Acupuncture, many of us are familiar with acupuncture. That comes to us from the traditional Chinese medicine. And this, along with massage, is one of the alternative therapies that comes highly recommended from doctors. Chiropractic visits, well, this is, manipulation. I did not, like I said, I did not include that in my explorations. And we have the hypnosis sessions. This is part of the mind-body approach. And as I said, with the massage. Now, a lot of us are familiar with Reiki. This is very popular. According to the International Center for Reiki, over 2 million people in the United States have experienced its effects. In 2013, 60 or more hospitals included Reiki services as part of their treatments. Alternative therapies are beginning to make inroads into what we term as the traditional or contemporary practices. Education was also being offered at 800 or more hospitals. So it is gaining in popularity and acceptance. But like all other things, there are problems with it. I mean, we've got problems with the systems that we have now. For instance, presently we use narcotics to treat chronic pain, and the problems with using narcotics is it interferes with our daily life. It can cause digestive problems. Most importantly, though, it can cause an addictive behavior to develop. And, not all of these alternative therapies are addiction-free, but a lot of them are. And when we look at other things such as cost, well, the cost is much cheaper. I believe we touched on that earlier. But, problems with complementary alternative medicine is that the biggest one is it's an unregulated field. So when we're purchasing supplements, vitamins, um, herbs, we really don't know what we're getting, because there are no standards that they must follow. They can put anything they want for fillers with a lot of this, and I'm not even sure if they're required to list the ingredients. Another thing with complementary alternative therapies is that if a little bit helps, then some people are under the impression that more is better, and that's not the case. Take exercise, for instance. A little bit of exercise can go a long way, but too much exercise begins to damage the body. You may begin to experience muscle fatigue, joint inflammation. A lot of runners, as they move into their senior years, may experience knee problems, hip problems, spine problems because of the shock, the jarring of running or jogging. So, everything has its pluses and its minuses. Be mindful about what you are doing, what you are putting into your body. Be mindful. And another thing is, do your research. A lot of people put out a lot of hype about these alternative therapies. As I said, they're not regulated. Do your research. A lot of the information you will find within the Facets of Healing is all based on research and extrapolated with other research, bringing it together, presenting theories, presenting useful information. Now, the thing to keep in mind is you should do your research. That's an obvious one. And the best place to start is going to be with the National Center for Complementary and Alternative Medicine website. This organization has sponsored more than 100 studies. When they formed, they recognized the existence, well, I shouldn't say when they formed, when they accepted the existence of what we call the chi and what scientists call the biofield, they started looking around, asking, demanding studies be done to investigate this. And as I said, they've done more than 100 studies, and this was in 2007. So I'm sure that the number of studies they have done has expanded. I'm also confident that the information here will be useful for you. So this is a short chapter because we're just starting to move into it. Recap, we found that there are 4 categories within complementary alternative medicine. There are the organic category, which covers vitamins and supplements. There is the mind-body approach, which is something many of us are familiar with. There are a variety of meditations. We'll go more in depth with that. There is the energy healing category, which deals with vibrations or energy frequencies and magnetism. That's where we come into the picture as aspiring healing channels. This is our category here. And then there is the manipulation, which is massage therapy and chiropractic therapy. So these are things for you to bear in mind. And like I said, be mindful and do your research. Thank you very much for taking the time to listen to this short presentation, and I look forward to presenting more information to you.
Thank you for watching the presentation. I know it was short. All it does is explore, it just presents an overview of what complementary alternative medicine is. And it gives us an idea of where we fit into this field as healing channels. As we move further into the facets of healing, the presentations will become more in-depth. Right now, I would like to suggest an experiential portion to this class. Typically in face-to-face, we would start from the ground up. In this instance, we are kind of starting somewhere in the middle. A meditation figures greatly in anything that has to do with any kind of spiritual development or spirituality. Many people will utilize a guided meditation, or they'll use it as a form of relaxation. Meditation is a path in those directions. We'll get into that in the appropriate chapter. What I would like you to do now is, for this meditation, is I want you to find an object or an image that you can just rest your gaze on. You can use a painting or an image somewhat like the background here that I've got, or you can use a statue or a sculpture. I usually use one of the images of the Buddha in the classes, and this is what we rest our gaze on. The idea is to allow your gaze to move over the image, taking in the texture, the design, that sort of thing, but to not get lost. You to hear the distracting noises that are around. I don't want you to go into a room that is absolutely quiet. Someplace where there is some noise, some distractions would be ideal, because the purpose of this type of meditation is to allow these distractions to be part of the meditation. This is important, especially as a healing channel, because this means that you will be in the present at all times, and the present is where everything takes place. So as you are gazing at your object, your eyes may go out of focus. That's fine. You may feel the need to blink. That's normal. Go ahead and do that. I don't want you to be staring at something or gazing at something wide-eyed. Your eyes get dry, and they will. You'll feel the need to blink. Blink. It's natural. What I don't want you to do is, when you feel that itch on your nose, I don't want you to reach over and scratch it. I don't want you to do that. That itch will dissipate in the same fashion that it arrived. Now, while you are gazing at your image, object, you may notice that your attention will be drawn to perhaps the head. And because of that, the head may appear to move, to rotate. When that happens, that's a distraction. I want you to draw your gaze back, and I want you to focus on the entire image once again. You will see images while you are gazing at your chosen subject. Typically, what these images will be is they will represent potential challenges on your spiritual path. While you are doing this, you may want to, maybe before you sit down and do this, you may want to consider what love feels like. Now, being a healing channel is all about emotions. Emotions are a powerful energy that we generate. So I would like you to focus on what love feels like. Not what it means, but what it feels like. And if you have to engage an image in your mind to do that, please do so. Just don't get caught up in it. The idea is that it is like a primer. It helps you to get there. Now, once you feel that sensation, I want you to try and hold on to it. Also, when your meditation ends, it would be preferable that you have some kind of journal that you could write your experience into. This will help you as you review your progress. This will give you a base from which to begin from. And that's all for this lesson. Again, I thank you for viewing the presentation, for viewing this video. I thank you very much. If you found any of this useful, please leave some seeds with us. You can go to birdandsky.com. That is BRDNSKY.com. I'm sure you will see it moving across the screen beneath. There are some donation buttons there that you can avail yourself. If you find this useful, please leave some seeds for us to grow. It is through your seeds that we grow. And I want to thank you for your contribution. Thank you for taking the time out to view this. And while you're at the website, feel free to look around. There's a lot of useful information under Portal of Knowledge. There are links to books, links to some videos that are available. Become a member. There are extended videos available for the membership. Some downloads that are available that I develop. Most of the material you will read there was developed by myself and those influences that are around me. Thank you very much, and God bless.